So, should you buy Battlefield 2042? Well, thanks to the EA Creator Network, I've been given about 10 to 15 hours of gameplay on all aspects of the game, and I feel like I can already answer this question. I also received this really cool package from the EA Creator Network. My name was misspelled everywhere, but hey, Silk is the word that they fear across all spelling bees. I still really appreciate the thought, but unfortunately the contents of this video might get me removed from that very network. So to provide some backup for this review, my name is Silk. You can check out my stats if you want, doesn't really matter. I haven't got, 20 years of Battlefield experience like some people do, but I would say I'm a pretty good player as far as Battlefield goes. I can play all aspects of the game. I do play all aspects of the game, and I already made a review on Battlefield 2042 in the beta, and actually got a 90% like rate on a video full of opinions. A 10-minute video full of opinions getting a like rate that high is actually pretty good. It means that it's pretty base, to be honest, and most people did agree in the comments that video is one of my most liked videos of all time. So considering that did pretty well, we can actually look at what I asked for from the beta to be changed and kind of assess where we are right now. So my positives from the beta were that the gunplay and the movement were really, really good, and the map design on Orbital was actually pretty good as well. A lot of people said that Orbital was a terrible map, but those people only played, let's say, a few hours of infantry and judged it. I think most people found that the more they played infantry, the better understanding they got of how to rotate through the map, use the movement, all that stuff, the map got better and better. However, the negatives for the game were that the performance, both in terms of, hardware performance and network performance, were both pretty bad. You had bad network performance in the way that the jets would just teleport everywhere, and you would also have spotty hit reg on infantry. Sometimes it would work really well, and sometimes it wouldn't really work at all. Then in terms of frames per second, it just didn't really match up with the kind of specs you put into the game. I didn't really get that good frames on a 5950X and 3080 Ti, and I ran the game on all low. Now finally, there was also a mouse input issue. Supposedly the game was emulating a controller input, but overall the mouse just had acceleration and it felt really hard to get consistent aiming. Finally, vehicles were balanced at a very low level. It seemed like almost anyone could get into a little bird and just absolutely dominate, and you saw this happening. And the attack heli was pretty overpowered, especially in that gunner seat. Jets were really, really terrible, and tanks are pretty much hopeless against a good attack heli player, for example. So all this added up to a 6 out of 10 rating. To bring it up, there need to be performance fixes in the form of netcode, hardware performance, and mouse input. Vehicles also needed some changes. Air physics needed a large rework, and there needed to be a balancing shift to change some of the power from easier weapons, like the rocket pods, to harder weapons, like the miniguns. So having played 2042, let's see what's new. So starting with what the beta did well, let's start with something that's imperative to the success of any first-person shooter: the gunplay. In the full release, it seems like the assault rifles were significantly nerfed. There is a lot more recoil, especially for the first and second shots. There also seems to be a large increase in spread, and that is further exaggerated when moving. All this has resulted in the gunplay becoming much less satisfying, and the SMGs are now better than the assault rifles at pretty much any range. Snipers were also apparently buffed quite significantly, but I'm really not the person to judge that. The movement was another thing that the beta did extremely well. They've only slightly nerfed the slide distance from what we could tell, along with removing the ridiculous cross-map bunny hopping. I'm fine with the B-hop nerfs, but the slide was fine in my opinion. The main thing here though is that they've made changes that weren't necessary. I'm not sure why these changes were made, and the development time and hours should have been focused onto the beta's biggest issues. So let's get into that. Surely if they had time to mess with the bread and butter of what made the beta fun, they've fixed all the other problems, right? Wrong. Starting with performance fixes, they might have made some slight improvements. The memory leak that I had in the beta appears to be fixed, and my frames on Orbital might be slightly better than they were in the beta. However, the frames on some other maps were really grim. In fact, I actually had frame drops to around 110 on Manifest fairly often. Networking might have been slightly improved as jets appear to teleport less, but the reg on infantry seems to be completely untouched. In fact, Dozer, the riot shield character, can sometimes be completely invincible. I am glad to say that at least mouse input feels much better than the beta, which is great to have mostly fixed. Now as for the other glaring issue being the vehicle design and balance, they nerfed the attack heli gunner 30mm cannon. That's about it. A good change, but what about fixing the jets, nerfing the scout rockets, or improving the air physics? None of those things have been done, and vehicles are mostly the same as they were in the beta. Because none of that was changed, I was just straight up torching kids with the scout heli in this content creator preview event. Sure, it's fun for the pilot, but it's not so fun for anyone else. But Silk, Portal is here and it will save the game. Let's get into that. Because Portal is such a big customizable thing, I don't think we've experienced its full potential in the 4 to 5 hours of gameplay we got given. However, I can create some pros and cons that I think will hold true unless DICE makes some changes. As for the pros, the gunplay feels much better using the BC2 and BF3 guns. It doesn't really feel like the old games, but whatever it is, it feels better than the assault rifles of BF 2042. The maps are also great, with exception to El Alamein, which is exactly what it looks like, a giant desert. Especially in Conquest, the Portal map seemed to play fairly well. The editor is also really cool, and as I said before, the community's skill with this tool will probably make or break Portal, as I think you can fix a lot of the base game issues with this. Now for the cons, the vehicles were simply reskinned BF 2042 vehicles. The loadout menu didn't work either, so no one really got to experience them to their full potential. The game was also missing some vehicles. For example, the US team didn't get the Viper, they got the Apache instead. And the A10 and SU-25 were not brought over, which is a big part of BF3 Rush. There were also hit reg issues pretty much unique to Portal. Sometimes people found that the hit reg would almost turn off. I had a game with like 15 kills and 28 assists. I felt like I was fucking John Stockton out there because my bullets wouldn't register. I guess with updates and community involvement, Portal could blossom into something great. But right now, it is not the savior that a lot of us prayed for. And now for Hazard Zone, the wild card of Battlefield 2042. This was advertised as a high-stakes squad play experience. The mode is supposed to get your heart pumping and provide that adrenaline rush that you find in games like Tarkov or PUBG. The issue is that there isn't really any high stakes. In Tarkov, for example, extractions mean a lot. Whether you're leaving with millions in stolen loot, or that item that you desperately need to complete a quest, the stakes are indeed high in that game. In Battlefield 2042, you extract with hard drives which are converted into dark market currency. The thing is, you can't really do anything with this currency, and it's just used to buy your loadout for the next game. Loadouts are super cheap and affordable though, so if you die, who cares, it's not a big deal. We won our first match of Hazard Zone, and we were financially set for the rest of the session. I still think that this should have been a free-to-play mode, and I just can't see anyone playing it after the game is released. So finally, should you buy Battlefield 2042? No. In fact, I would recommend a refund in this current state. Pre-order culture is a cancer to the video game industry, and companies shouldn't be able to cash out before the game is even released, and let alone in a good state. If you do go to refund it, they might just say it's not possible, as they did with my friends here. Explain that the game is not even released yet, and that you feel robbed of your money. Then it should be fine. You can still play the game if you refund, just use EA Play or Xbox Game Pass to judge it for yourself, and wait for a better showing from DICE. With all that said, please do leave a like and comment to help get this video out there. Sure, I might have forfeited my relationship with EA with this video, but I care too much about Battlefield not to speak my mind. You're not a real fan if you shill out to an undeserving product. You're a real fan if you provide the criticism and have the franchise's best interest in mind. This could be our last chance at Battlefield. If this game flops, I don't know if there'll be another one. With all that said, I'll see you guys on the next one. Take it easy, everyone. Peace.